So the Mishnah Tzadikim Amud Aleph tells us a man's married to 3 wives, and the man dies. Kesubos shazu money. The first wife's ksuba is 100. Vishalzu masayim vishalzu shalosh meos. Wife number 2 is a ksuba of 200. Wife number 3 is a ksuba of 300. What do you do now? The ain't sham Ellman and the husband's estate is only valued at 100. Cholken b'shav, you divide the money evenly, meaning each one of the wives is going to get 33 1/3. The estate is valued at 200. They get three dinari zav, meaning zahav is valued at 25 zuz. So wife number 1 is going to get 50 zuz. Wife number 2 and 3 will get 75 each. Hayisham shalosh meos shalmana neiteles chamishim, v'shalmasayim mana, v'shalosh meos shisha shel zav. If the estate is valued at 300, so now wife number 1 is going to get 50. Wife number 2 is going to get 100, and wife number 3 is going to get 6 times 25 or 150. Similarly, 3 people put their money into one pot to make an investment. They're all opening up a restaurant together. If the restaurant devalues or goes up in value, that's how they're going to split the profits based upon the similar cheshbon. Says the Gemara. In a case where the estate is only 100, it's easy and obvious you split it evenly. Everyone gets 33 1/3. However, in a case where the estate is valued at 200, so the Mishnah said the halacha is wife number 1 gets 50, wife number 2 and 3 get 75 each. Asks the Gemara, Shalmana neiteles chamishim, tlasim etlasa v'tilsa hu de'isla. The Gemara says, really, wife number 1 should only get 33 1/3. Why is that? Our Mishnah is saying the following setup. Husband has 100. That first 100 is being argued upon by 3 wives. Each one of the 3 wives has an equal claim to the first 100 of the husband's estate. Wife number 1 should get 33 1/3. Wife number 2 should get 33 1/3. Wife number 3 should get 33 1/3. The second 100 of the husband's estate, if there is being argued between wife number 2 and wife number 3. They each are claiming that second 100, and therefore, if you split it evenly, wife number 2 is going to get 50, wife number 3 is going to get 50. The third 100 of the estate is automatically going to go to wife number 3. No one's arguing with her on that third of the estate. In other words, the Mishnah's setup is that you divide the husband's property into 100, and then 200, and then 300. We're going to see later in the Gemara that Rabbi disagrees with that setup entirely. But right now, the Gemara is, okay, so if you're telling me that it's divided into 100, 200, and 300, the first 100 is being argued on by 3 people. 3 wives equally are claiming that first 100. So why is it that wife number 1 gets 50? Wife number 1 should only get 33 1/3. Wife number 2 should get 33 1/3. And wife number 3 should get 33 1/3 of that first 100. So Amar Shmuel, because Seves Ba'alas Masayim the Ba'alas Mane, Dinu Dvarim Ainli Imach Bimane. Says the Gemara, we're dealing with a very unique case. Wife number 2, who's supposed to get a ksuba of 200, is very close, good friends, doesn't want to have an argument with wife number one who's supposed to get 100. And therefore, wife number two says, you know what? If our husband dies and we go to court, I'm not going to fight with you. I'm not going to fight with you. That first 100 is going to be a discussion between you and wife number three. You guys can fight it out. You guys can argue it out. You guys can split it. I'm not getting involved. So therefore, wife number one is going to get 50. Says the Gemara, Hachi Ema Seifa. The Seifa says, hold on. After wife number one gets 50, wife number two and wife number three are each going to get 75. Frak the Gemara, Tema law, Hasalakta, Nafshech, Mina. So wife number three should say to wife number two, hold on. I understand the first 50 goes to wife number one. The second 50 of that first 100 should be entirely mine. You removed yourself from any claim or any discussion in the first 100 of the estate. You removed yourself. So the second 100 should automatically come directly to me, wife number three. Why is it that the Gemara said, the Mishnah says, that the second 50 is divided 75, is divided 25-25? Why is it the second 50 is divided? It should automatically go completely, entirely to wife number three. Says the Gemara, Yishum da Amra le, because wife number two will respond, Midin u'devarnu d'stikin afshai. Says, I only removed my interest in fighting with wife number one. It's not the pshat that I didn't want the money. I didn't say that I'm giving my portion entirely to wife number one. I didn't say that I'm giving up all claim to the first 100. All I said is that I do not want to fight with wife number one. I don't want my claim should not limit the value of wife number one's ksuba. Therefore, what do I want? I want that the Beis Din should paskin. How much does wife number one get? After we deduct that value from the estate, now the rest of the money left in the estate, I want a full share in the rest of the money in the estate. So I want as much of the remaining 150 as I could possibly get. And therefore, both 2 and 3 are going to fight out the remaining 150 and they'll split it evenly. That's what the Gemara says, the way Rashi learns. So some of the Heilige Bochrim asked the following question. Said, I understand the Gemara is telling us that Beis Din is going to paskin regarding wife number one, that wife number one gets 50, and subsequently is going to be a discussion about the remainder of the estate. However, it doesn't make sense. Why? Had all 3 wives divided the first 100 evenly, then each one of the wives would have gotten 33 1/3. Comes along wife number 2 and wife number 3, and they divide the second 100. So the split up should be 33 1/3 to wife number 1, 83 1/3 to wife number 2, and 83 1/3 to wife number 3. Beautiful. Why is it not like that? Because wife number 2 says, I'm removing my claims against wife number 1. I don't want to fight with wife number 1. I understand that number 2 can give away from her own money and her own claims. But how could her removal of her desire to fight with wife number 1 affect how much wife number 3 is supposed to get? At the end of the day, wife number 3 was supposed to get 83 1/3, but now it's only going to get 75. Why does wife number 3 have to lose out the extra 8? Kach sho'al the choshev b'bachrim of our yeshiva. This question is in fact asked by both the Tosfos Harid and the Ritva, and it's a Peladic Akasha. how can it be that wife number 2 is causing wife number 3 to lose out some of the money? And therefore, says the Ritva, what should have been? What should have been is that wife number 1 would get 50. Wife number 3 will remain at her 83 and a third. And wife number 2 will only get, here's where it gets tricky, wife number 2 will only get 66 and 2/3. Right? And that would end up equaling the full value, I think. That's what the Ritva suggests. Why is it not that way? So Ritva makes a huge ukimta into the Gemara, and this, he says you have to learn this way, otherwise it doesn't make sense why wife number 2 is able to cause wife number 3 to lose money. The Ritva says it must be that when wife number 2 said, I'm removing my desire to fight with wife number 1, it must be that wife number 3 agreed. That it wasn't only wife number 2 said she's removing her claim to fight with wife number 1, but wife number 3 also says, you know what? I'm also willing to agree that wife number 1 is going to get the 50, and we'll pass it on wife number 1 first, and then we'll deal with the rest between the two of us. And therefore, since both wife number 2 and 3 agreed that wife number 1 is going to get half of the first 100, they take out money from both of them, the extra 16 and 2/3 is divided evenly between wife number 2 and wife number 3, each one giving up 8 and a third, and then they take the remaining 150 and divide it evenly. Otherwise, says the Ritva, if wife number 3 would not agree to give the full 50 to wife number 1, then in a chinami, wife number 3 would get the full 83 and a third, and the entire 16 and 2/3 that wife number 1 is getting more than she should have would have come out of the cheshbin from wife number 2. Good? Wonderful. Hayisham shalosh meyois. If there were 300, shamasayim moneh, shamasayim gets 100. Frankly, Gemara, shivim v'chamishu hu de'isla. Hold on. Why? Wife number 1 got 50. Wife number 1 got 50. Right? Now, what's remaining? There's 250 left. But the last 100 is entirely meshubah to wife number 3. So the only machloikes is about 150. If the machloikes is only about 150, so wife number 2 should get 75. So Amr Shmuel, because says Baalas Shorish Meos LeBaalas Masayim, U LeBaalas Moneh, Din Dvar Meni Mochem B'Moneh. So Shmuel says no. Case number 3 is different than case number 2. When the estate is evaluated at 300, what happened here? So the third wife, who's supposed to get 300, turned to her 2 other co-wives and said, I don't want to fight about the first 100. The first 150 is going to go to wife number 1, 50 of it will go to wife number 2. I'm not fighting about that. The last 100 is completely meshubah to wife number 3. So the only machlekes between wife number 2 and wife number 3 is about the middle 100, split at 50-50. So wife number 1 will get 50, wife number 2 will get 100, and wife number 3 will get 150. Rabbi Yaakov Nahar Mekoyim Mishmei de Ravina Omar, I have a better teretz, he says. I have a better teretz, and this answers everything. Reisha b'shtei tfisis v'sefer b'shtei tfisis. There are 2 times of collection. What does that mean? The husband's estate when he died, let's say it was entirely metalton. There was no karka left. So if there's only metalton left, Beis Din is not going to go into the estate and start divvying it up for the Kesubos. Because ain't nifrayin ela mekarka. You only pay the Kesubos with karka. However, if the women would go and grab and be teifes metatlin, they'd be able to use that for the Kesubos. So what happened? They went and were teifes some money from the estate, some, I don't know, dining room chairs that were valued at 75. They valued at 75. And then they went back a second time and they were teifes additional 125 or additional 225. So how does this work? Reisha b'shtei tfisus is b'shtei tfisus. Reisha b'shtei tfisus the naflu shiva v'chamish b'chad zimna. Umei v'esrim v'chamish b'chad zimna. First time they got 75. All three ladies have equal claim to that 75. They each get 25, 25, 25. Okay? Now they go and they grab an additional 125. How much of that 125 is going to be claimed by all three? Only 75. In other words, wife woman number one already got 25. She's only demanding more, another additional 75. So only 75 of the remainder is argued upon by all three. And that 75 will divide it by all three. So now, after you've taken the first 150, has been equally divided by all three. They each got 50. The remaining 50 is only being argued upon by wife number 2 and wife number 3. And therefore, each one of them is going to get half of that. So wife number 2 will get 75, wife number 3 will get 75. Beautiful. The Seifa is also b'shtei tfisas. The naflu shiva chamish b'chad zimna. U'masayim v'esrim b'chamish b'chad zimna. So how does that work? The first 75 is argued by all three, divided evenly. The next 75 is argued by all three and divided evenly. So after you get through 150, wife number 1 is now out of the equation. She got her 50, she's gone. There's an additional 150 left. That additional 150, wife number 2 is only demanding how much of the additional 150? She already demanded 100. She's only demanding 100 from them, an additional 150. Why? In the second tfisa, she was already the first 75. Because if she got, even though she physically only received 25, she already was arguing about 75. So she got 25 from the first tfisa, and now 75 from the second tfisa. So she's already up to, in her bank account, ki'ilu, is a claim against 100. So she only has a claim against an additional 100. Divide that evenly, 50-50. So wife number 2 will get 25 from tfisa number 1 and 75 from tfisa number 2. Meaning that it's going to go 50, 100, and that means it's going to leave over an additional 150 for wife number 3. That's the way Tanya Mishas Rabbi Nosson. That's the way Rabbi Nosson learns. Rabbi Nosson learns that you divide it up. Either it's a case where one of the wives wrote, didn't mainly be imach, or it's a case of shtei tfisas. You're going to divide it up 50, 100, 150, or 50, 75, 75. That's all good according to Rabbi Nosson. However, Rabbi Omer ein ani rayet dvar Rabbi Nosson be'elu ela chalkos b'shav. Comes along Rabbi, he says he got the whole thing wrong. Remember how he set it up? We set it up that on the first 100 of the husband's estate, there's a 3-way machlekes. On the second 100 of the guy's estate, there's a 2-way machlekes. On the third 100 of the guy's estate, there's no machlekes at all. In other words, wife number 1 has no claim, has no shibud, has no shayches to the third 100 of the guy's estate. Comes along Rabbi, says that's not the way shibudim work. Shibudim work is that Wife number one says, I have a claim against your entire estate, all 300, in order to get 100. If I don't get 100 from the first 100, I only get 33.3. So I have a claim against the second 100 and the third 100 in order to get up to my full value of the 100. Wife number two says, I have a claim against your entire estate for my full value. And wife number three says, I have a claim against your entire estate for my full value. So they're all arguing about all of the estate. So Rabbi says, if that's the case, you take the whole estate and divide it evenly. You can't say there's a three-way machlokes about first 100, there's a two-way machlokes about the second 100. No. They're all arguing about everything. Because it calls a man that the first wife didn't get her full ksuba, she still wants to get her full ksuba. So she's still in the picture. So Memela Chokois Bishava. We paskin, by the way, halacha l'maisa, like Rabbi and not like Rabbi Nassim. We paskin that if somebody owes me money, I don't have, unless we do a special apoitiki that I only have a claim against a specific piece of property. Generally, we assume that I have a claim against all of the person's land, all of the person's possessions until he pays me off however much is owed to me. That's the halacha of Kesubos. The Mishnah said, "V'chein shloisha she'itilu lekis." Three people put into a money pouch, into a bank account. Three partners that are going to open a business together. Amar Shmuel, Shnayim she'itilu lekis, zeh mona v'zeh mosai. They put into the bank account. One is the major partner, one's a minor partner. The major partner put in 200, the minor partner put in 100. Haschar le'emtza. They divide the profits evenly. Despite the fact that one of them laid out more capital than the other one, nonetheless, they're going to divide the profits evenly. When is that true that they split the profits evenly? When Reuben and Shimon decide to open up the business, they're going to buy a shore that's going to plow. As long as that shore is plowing, they're splitting the profits evenly. It's rented to plow, they split the profits evenly. It's rented to plow, they split the profits evenly. Once they realize that it's more beneficial, they're going to make more money by selling the shore in order to get shechted, or they shecht it and sell the pieces. In other words, it's not doing its job as being a chayrish anymore, as a plower. It's time for the shore to be slaughtered and sold for its meat. Then you go back to the original investment and say the major partner who invested 2/3 is going to get 2/3 of the property. And the minor partner who invested 1/3 is only going to get 1/3 of the meat. That's Shitas Rabbi. The profit will be, in other words, the capital, he'll get his money back that he invested. The major partner will get his capital back, and the minor partner will get his capital. But the profits will be split evenly, even if they change the goal of the business. They originally were planning on using the shore and using it as a plowing shore, but they decided to use it as a shechting shore. They're going to split the profits. The price says you divide the profits evenly. Isn't that a kash on Rabbi? The chiddush is only in that case. The chiddush is only when it's shor lecharisha v'ayim l'tvicha. We bought it in order to use it as a plower, and now you decide to shecht. And nonetheless, it says it's chayz la'emtza. Says the Gemara, like shor lecharisha v'ayim l'charisha, shor lecharisha v'ayim l'tvicha. Mai zenot l'ma'isa, zenot l'ma'isa. Says the Gemara, Rabbi will answer you simply. Rabbi will answer you that the Bryce is talking about a case where you're doing what you intended to do. That's why it's highly emtza. Frak the Gemara, Tani Seif, Allah Zeb Shaloi, Zeb Shaloi, V'nitzarbu. Zeno di Limais, Zeno di Limais. So, listen to the day. The Bryce continued over there. And the Bryce said that if Reuven took his money and he bought something, then Shimon took his money and bought something, and it all got mixed together. Guess what do you do then? Then everyone gets based on how much they invested. That's when they get the investment. But profits, they divide evenly. Frak the Gemara, according to you, Rabbi, the Bryce is talking about a case where they planned on using it for Charisha, and they used it for Charisha, that's why they split the profits. So instead of cooking up a funny case where there's a tarayvis and things got all mixed up, and that's where you're going to divide it based on investment, just listen every day. Why don't you say simply? When they're doing what they intended to do, that's when you split the profits. But when they were intending to use it as a charish, and they decided to change the goals, they decided to change the business, and now they're going to sell it, the shore, for meat, then you're going to divide it based on how much the original investments were. Why don't you just make a very simple case like that? Says the Gemara, that's in fact the way that you learn the Bryce. That you split the profits evenly. Says the Gemara, that's in fact the way you really learn the Bryce. That if they bought it for the shore for Charish, they changed their mind and now they use it for Tvicha, it's as if our money got mixed together, or our investment got mixed together, we're each going to take based on how much we invested. It's as if that's what occurred. If they change the business plan, then you're going to go back to the original investment because it's if our money's got all mixed up together. Tanan, v'chein shloisha sheitilu l'kis pichso eisiru kach hein chayukin. Frak the Gemara, what about our Mishnah? Our Mishnah said that if it goes up or down in value, divided as we just mentioned. My love, pichsu mamish eisiru mamish. What does that mean? Does that mean that it went down and the investment actually, they invested 300 and now it's only worth 200? So Amar Rab Nachman, Amar Rabbi Barabu Aloy, Siru Zuzi Chadasi, Pichso Astira de Soiniso. What does it mean, Pichsu or Haisiru? Zuzi Chadasi, they took out old money and put in new money in its place. What does that mean? The money that they had in the account was old money. It was from the old times, and the government put out new money, and they changed the old money for the new money. Or, in other words, you have to remember that, let's say there's a new king came to town to change the currency. So the first partner took 2/3 of the money in the bank account and traded it for the new money. The second partner took 1/3 and traded it for the new money. So it's not that they're adding anything, any value to the account. All they're doing is changing the old money for the new money. So that's what it means. That's what it means, Haisiru. And what does it mean, Pirsu? Astir de Tsunisa, that the coins that they had in the business venture became no longer valid, no longer useful. So then, since they no longer became useful, that money, whatever is left in the account, you're going to split based on the chesh, based on the ratios of the investments. But it doesn't mean that the actual value of the company went down at all, didn't go down at all. Let's say that. We'll stop at the Mishnah. Mir Hashem, tomorrow we'll continue from the Mishnah. Bye, Rabbi.